Welcome back, treasure hunters and coin lovers. You're about to discover the hidden gold sitting right in your pocket. On this channel, we uncover the rarest, most valuable coins that could change your fortune overnight. From overlooked top 4 half-dollar United States of America coins to secret $1,000,000, every video is packed with jaw-dropping details that collectors crave. The first up, the story of the 1972 United States half-dollar is a fascinating one that combines history, minting technology, numismatic rarity, and collector passion. When we think about the Kennedy half-dollar, first issued in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination, it is easy to imagine how this coin quickly became one of the most recognized and collected denominations in American history. By the time we reached 1972, the half-dollar had already gone through significant changes, particularly in its composition. The silver content that was present in the original 1964 Kennedy half-dollar was removed, and by 1971 the coin was struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition. That makes the 1972 half-dollar coin that is not only collectible, but also represents a key point in the history of American coinage. As the U.S. Mint fully transitioned to clad coins for circulating halves, but what makes the 1972 half-dollar so interesting to collectors today is not just its place in history, but rather the rarity and value of certain examples that have survived in exceptional condition or with unique characteristics. In circulated condition, most 1972 Kennedy half-dollars are worth little more than face value, since millions were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. However, when we dig deeper into high-grade coins, mint errors, and rare varieties, the picture changes dramatically. Collectors around the world have paid hundreds, even thousands of dollars for the right example of this coin, making it one of the most desirable modern half-dollars on the market. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1972 half-dollar is the role of mint errors. During this time, the U.S. Mint was producing millions of coins daily, and while quality control was strong, errors did slip through. These errors are now some of the most prized treasures for collectors. For example, off-center strikes, double dies, or coins struck on the wrong planchet have all been discovered among 1972 halves. Imagine holding a 1972 Kennedy half-dollar that was accidentally struck on a quarter planchet, making it smaller and lighter than a regular coin. That kind of rarity can send values skyrocketing at auction, sometimes fetching thousands of dollars depending on condition. Even more dramatic are double-die, obverse, or reverse varieties, where details of Kennedy's profile or the eagle on the reverse appear doubled. These striking mistakes transform an ordinary clad half-dollar into a numismatic gem. Grading also plays a huge role in the value of 1972 half-dollars. Most coins struck for circulation that year entered everyday commerce, meaning they picked up scratches, nicks, and wear from years of handling. Finding a pristine coin with full luster and no visible marks is extremely difficult. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have graded only a handful of 1972 half-dollars at the very highest mint state levels, such as MS-67 or MS-68. When these top-graded examples hit the auction block, collectors compete fiercely, often driving prices into the thousands. One well-preserved example, graded MS-67, recently sold for a record-breaking sum, proving that even a modern clad half-dollar can achieve premium status in the numismatic world when condition and rarity align. Another important element is the proof version of the 1972 half-dollar, struck at the San Francisco Mint. Proof coins are specially made for collectors, using polished dies and planchets to create sharp, mirror-like surfaces and frosted details. While most proof 1972 half-dollars are common, the highest-graded deep cameo examples are anything but ordinary. Coins graded PR 70 deep cameo, meaning they're essentially flawless with incredible contrast, are highly sought after and can command large sums at auction. These coins showcase the artistry of the U.S. Mint and the enduring appeal of the Kennedy design, reminding collectors why proofs are often considered miniature works of art. The 1972 half-dollar also holds sentimental value for many Americans. For those who lived through the 1960s and 1970s, the Kennedy half dollar was not just a coin, but a symbol of a generation. It represented the hope and tragedy of John F. Kennedy's presidency, as well as the nation's determination to honor his legacy. This emotional connection has kept the coin relevant even as half dollars have largely disappeared from circulation. Today, most people rarely see a half dollar in daily life, which only adds to the mystique of collecting them. For younger collectors, finding a 1972 half dollar and change is an exciting surprise, while for experienced numismatists, it could be a doorway into a deeper exploration of U.S. coinage. Let's talk about some of the record prices realized for 1972 half dollars. At auction, superb condition coins and rare varieties have shocked collectors with their hammer prices. A pristine MS-67 example once sold for thousands of dollars, despite its face value being just 50 cents. Rare mint errors, such as off-metal strikes, have sold for even more. For example, a 1972 half dollar struck on a foreign planchet or on a different denomination's blank can be worth several $1,000s, depending on rarity and demand. These extraordinary prices prove that even coins from a relatively recent year can reach the level of elite collectibles when the right factors are in place. Collectors today are always on the hunt for hidden gems. Many people still search through rolls of half dollars from banks, hoping to uncover that perfect 1972 example. Others attend coin shows, browse online auctions, and connect with dealers to add one of these coveted coins to their collection. The thrill of the hunt, combined with the chance of discovering a rare error or high-grade survivor, makes the 1972 half dollar a coin that continues to capture imaginations. Unlike rare 19th century coins that are nearly impossible to find in circulation, the 1972 half dollar still offers hope to collectors who dream of uncovering treasure in everyday places. As we reflect on the most expensive 1972 half dollar coins, it becomes clear that their value is shaped by a combination of history, rarity, condition, and collector demand. The coin itself may not contain silver, but its worth is determined by much more than metal content. It is about the story behind the coin, the errors that slipped through the mint, the few pristine survivors that escaped damage, and the passion of collectors who refuse to let the Kennedy half dollar be forgotten. Each rare example that sells for thousands at auction is a reminder of how even the most ordinary-looking coin can turn out to be a hidden treasure. So the next time you come across a 1972 Kennedy half dollar, whether in an old collection, a coin roll, or tucked away in a drawer, take a closer look. You never know if you might be holding a piece of numismatic history worth far more than its face value. The beauty of coin collecting lies in these discoveries, where knowledge, patience, and a little luck can lead to extraordinary finds. The 1972 half dollar is a perfect example of how a coin that most people overlook can, under the right circumstances. The next up, the most expensive 1973 half dollar ever sold. What makes it so rare and why collectors around the globe are always on the lookout for special editions, mint errors, and high-grade examples of this particular coin. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand the background of the 1973 half dollar, but also why some of these coins command thousands of dollars at auction, while others are still just worth face value. So sit back and join me as we journey through history, design, rarity, grading, and value, unraveling the tale of the 1973 Kennedy half dollar. The Kennedy half dollar series was first introduced in 1964, just a few short months after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in November of 1963. This coin was meant to honor his memory and legacy, and it quickly became one of the most recognized and beloved coins in U.S. history. The obverse design features a left-facing portrait of John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, while the reverse features the presidential seal with an eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, created by Frank Gasparo. While the first issues of the coin in 1964 were struck in 90% silver, by 1973 the composition had long changed. These coins were now minted in a copper-nickel clad composition, which is the same basic structure we see in many circulating coins today. However, despite their seemingly ordinary metal composition, certain 1973 half dollars have become treasures worth thousands. One of the key reasons the 1973 half dollar is so special is its limited availability and circulation. Unlike other years where millions of coins were released for everyday use, the 1973 half dollars were not issued directly for circulation by the Federal Reserve. Instead, they were struck primarily for mint sets and collector purposes. This means that although millions were minted, they weren't commonly seen in pocket change. As a result, finding a 1973 half dollar in high grade, especially one that has remained pristine since the day it was struck, is a real challenge. Collectors today treasure these coins in uncirculated condition, especially when they come with certain rare qualities such as proof striking, deep cameo contrasts, or unusual mint errors. When it comes to the most expensive 1973 half dollars, the story really begins with condition. The grading scale in numismatics, known as the Sheldon scale, ranges from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. For 1973 half dollar, most examples you find in circulation grade somewhere between fine and extremely fine, which means they are heavily worn and worth little more than face value. But in the upper range, especially coins graded MS67, MS68, or even higher, the value skyrockets. Only a handful of coins are known in those lofty grades, and auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have seen fierce bidding wars whenever one of these coins appears. For example, pristine mint state coins have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars, while certain proof versions with a deep cameo designation have also fetched impressive, some of the most famous and expensive 1973 half dollar coins, however, are not just about condition. They often involve mint errors or special varieties. Error coins are always exciting to collectors because they represent a mistake at the mint that escaped quality control and made its way to the public. Some 1973 half dollars have been discovered with off-center strikes, double dies, or planchet errors. In rare cases, a coin can be struck on the wrong metal planchet, such as being struck on a quarter planchet instead of the proper half-dollar blank. When these error coins surface, they generate incredible buzz and can sell for thousands of dollars at auction, sometimes more than one could ever imagine for a coin that originally had a face value of just 50 cents. Another fascinating aspect of the 1973 half dollar is the difference between the various mints. In 1973, the half dollar was produced at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia bear no mint mark. Those from Denver carry a small D mint mark, and those from San Francisco carry an S. San Francisco was responsible for striking the proof coins, which were intended for collectors and never for circulation. These proof coins are especially sought after when they have sharp details and mirror-like surfaces. A 1973 S-proof half dollar with a deep cameo designation from a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC can sell for a premium. Meanwhile, high-grade examples from Philadelphia and Denver are also valuable because they are hard to find without marks or blemishes, given how coins were handled in the minting process. Let's pause and consider what makes one coin worth so much more than another. In the world of coin collecting, 3 main factors dominate: rarity, demand, and condition. The 1973 half dollar has rarity because it was not released into circulation in large numbers, and demand because of its place in the Kennedy series, which is highly collectible. Condition, of course, separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. A coin that looks flawless under magnification can be worth 1,000 times more than the same coin with scratches, discoloration, or wear. Collectors are always in pursuit of the best examples, which is why the top-graded coins sell for record-breaking prices. One of the record sales for a 1973 half dollar came when a superbly preserved mint state example sold for several $1,000s at auction. To many people, this seems unbelievable. Why would someone pay thousands of dollars for a 50-cent coin? But in the eyes of collectors, owning a top-graded example of a specific year and mint mark is like owning a masterpiece of history. It represents not only rarity and condition, but also the pride of holding something that only a handful of people in the world possess. It is this sense of exclusivity and heritage that drives the value higher and higher. The Kennedy half dollar itself carries emotional weight. For many Americans, this coin is not just money. It's a symbol of a beloved president, a reminder of a tragic moment in history, and a piece of national pride. This emotional connection also plays a role in why certain issues, such as the 1973 half dollar, are in such high demand. Collectors who grew up during the Kennedy era often feel a sense of nostalgia and patriotism when adding these coins to their collection. That emotional connection translates into higher prices, particularly for rare examples now. Let's dive deeper into the varieties. The 1973 S-Proof half dollar is one of the stars of the year. A flawless PR 70 deep cameo, certified by Peace GS or NGC, is nearly impossible to find. When such a coin does appear, it commands top dollar. Imagine a coin struck with such precision that the frosted details of Kennedy's portrait contrast beautifully against a mirror-like background. That eye appeal is what makes collectors willing to bid thousands. Similarly, high-grade MS examples from Denver and Philadelphia are rare because coins from these mints often show weak strikes, bag marks, or other imperfections. The journey of the 1973 half dollar doesn't stop there. In addition to mint state and proof strikes, there are also collectors who focus specifically on mint errors. For example, double die obverse varieties, where the lettering or portrait shows doubling due to a misalignment in the die, are always highly desirable. An off-center strike where the design is shifted and part of the coin is blank is another dramatic error. The next up, the 1974 half dollar, a coin that most people would think is just an ordinary 50-cent piece, but in reality, some examples of this year can fetch staggering prices at auctions. If you're a coin enthusiast, a casual collector, or someone who just enjoys hearing about hidden treasures, you'll want to stick around until the end of this video, because the tale of the 1974 half dollar is filled with history, intrigue, and surprising value. The Kennedy half dollar was first introduced in 1964, just months after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. This coin became an instant symbol of national pride and remembrance. Millions of people hoarded the coin as a keepsake, and its popularity has continued for decades. By the time we get to 1974, the half dollar was already a household coin, minted in both Philadelphia and Denver for circulation, and also in San Francisco as a proof coin for collectors. At face value, it was worth 50 cents, but as with many coins, condition, rarity, and minting errors can change everything. Most 1974 half dollars in circulation are worth only their face value, maybe a little more if they're in uncirculated condition. But the excitement begins when we dive into error coins and special varieties. The most famous and valuable example from this year is the 1974 D double die obverse half dollar. This variety was minted at the Denver Mint, and the doubling is most noticeable on the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." For trained collectors, spotting this doubling can be like uncovering buried treasure, because this particular variety is highly sought after. Depending on the condition, some of these coins have sold for thousands of dollars at auction, making them among the most expensive 1974 Kennedy has ever discovered. What makes the 1974 D double die so special is the rarity combined with the history. Unlike a normal strike, a double die happens when the hub that imprints the design onto the die shifts slightly during manufacturing, causing letters or numbers to appear doubled on the struck coin. This is not something that can be replicated after minting. It has to occur during the production process. That means every coin with this error is a genuine piece of minting history, and collectors are always on the hunt for them. There's another layer of intrigue to the 1974 half dollar story, and that's the infamous 1974 aluminum cent connection. Around the same time, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with different metals because of rising copper and silver costs. Although it mainly applied to the penny, some confusion and rumors spread through the collecting community about whether other denominations, including the half dollar, were ever struck in experimental compositions. While there has never been an official aluminum half dollar for 1974, the rumors helped fuel interest in the coins from that year, And collectors often keep a close eye on unusual examples. Searching for anything that might be an undiscovered rarity condition also plays a massive role in determining the value of a 1974 half dollar. A coin in poor, circulated condition might only be worth 50 cents, but a pristine example graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC can reach hundreds of dollars. When you combine that with an error such as the double die, the value skyrockets. In fact, auction records show that some of the highest graded 1974 deep double die Kennedy half dollars have sold for well over $2,000. And in today's market, prices could go even higher depending on demand. For a coin that most people wouldn't even look twice at in their pocket change. That's an incredible transformation in value. To put this into perspective, imagine finding one of these coins in a roll of half dollars from the bank. Many coin roll hunters still search through rolls today, hoping to uncover hidden gems. The odds of finding a 1974 deep double die are slim, but they're not zero. Stories circulate in the coin collecting community of people who have stumbled across valuable coins like this in circulation, and those stories continue to inspire new collectors. Every year, the appeal of the 1974 half dollar also lies in its place within the broader Kennedy half dollar series. Collectors often build complete sets, trying to gather every year, every mint mark, and every variety. The double die of 1974 is considered a key variety, meaning it's a must-have for anyone striving for a comprehensive set. This only increases the demand and pushes up prices. What's particularly fascinating is how these coins continue to surprise us even decades later. Think about it, the 1974 half dollar has been around for more than 50 years, yet we're still learning new things about it. Coins like these remind us that history isn't just locked away in books. Sometimes it jingles in our pockets or hides in dusty boxes of change. Every coin has a story, and some of those stories come with an unexpected payoff. If you're looking to check your own coins, here's a tip. Focus on the details. For the 1974 D double die, a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe is essential. Look carefully at the inscriptions, especially "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." If you see what looks like a shadow or doubling effect, you might just have something valuable. Of course, professional grading is the only way to confirm its authenticity and maximize its value. But even the thrill of spotting a possible error is exciting. Collectors also value proof coins from 1974, which were minted in San Francisco. While most proof coins are common and sell for only a few dollars, flawless examples with deep cameo contrast can fetch higher prices. Though they don't come close to the double die in terms of rarity or value, they're still worth noting for anyone interested in the series. As we wrap up this journey into the world of the 1974 half dollar, it's clear that not all coins are created equal. What starts as an ordinary piece of pocket change can transform into a highly prized collectible, capable of fetching thousands of dollars. The most expensive examples remind us of the magic of coin collecting, the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the appreciation of history captured in metal. So the next time you come across a Kennedy half dollar, especially one from 1974, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Who knows? You might be holding on to one of the most valuable and sought-after coins of its kind. And that's the beauty of numismatics. Hidden treasures are always out there, waiting to be found. The next up, the 1989 half dollar from the United States of America, and we will explore how a coin that was produced in large numbers for circulation could still reach astonishing values in the world of numismatics. This isn't just a story about a piece of metal, it's about history, rarity, condition, and collector passion all coming together to make certain examples of this coin among the most expensive half dollars from that year. The Kennedy half dollar was first introduced in 1964, just months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. It became not only a circulating coin, but also a powerful symbol of national mourning and remembrance. Over the years, it has undergone changes in composition, minting practices, and collector interest. By 1989, the Kennedy half dollar was still being struck for circulation, but the truth is that far fewer people were actually using them in daily transactions. Many people saw the half dollar as too bulky, while others simply preferred quarters and dollar bills. As a result, a large portion of the coins struck in the late 1980s often went straight into bank storage or were picked up by collectors, leaving very few of them actually circulating in worn condition. This is an important detail because it means that finding certain grades of the 1989 half dollar today can be a challenge, which directly impacts their value in the numismatic market. The 1989 Kennedy half dollar was produced at two primary mints, Philadelphia, which left no mint mark, and Denver, which proudly displays the D mint mark. In addition, proof coins were struck at the San Francisco Mint with the famous mint mark, specifically intended for collectors. Now, most 1989 half dollars you find in circulation today are worth only their face value 50 cents, but the real story begins when we start talking about coins in pristine mint condition, proof condition, and particularly those with errors or special striking varieties. These factors can transform an ordinary 50-cent piece into a coin worth hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars at auction. So what exactly makes a 1989 half dollar expensive? The answer lies in rarity combined with condition. Regular business strike coins from Philadelphia and Denver were minted in the hundreds of millions, which means the vast majority of them are extremely common. But in numismatics, condition is king. A coin that has survived decades without any scratches, wear or contact marks, and that still shines as though it were freshly minted, is graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as mint state, with a grade ranging anywhere from MS 60 up to the ultimate perfection of MS 70. While most 1989 has you encounter might grade around MS 60 to MS 64, very few survive in MS 67 or MS 68, and those are the coins that bring jaw-dropping prices. In fact, at major auctions, examples graded MS 67 and above have sold for hundreds of dollars, far exceeding their face value. That might not sound like much compared to gold or silver coins, but for a modern-clad half dollar, those prices are nothing short of extraordinary. The proof versions, minted in San Francisco, add another layer of intrigue. These coins were specially struck with mirrored fields and frosted designs, giving them a dramatic cameo effect that collectors adore. While millions of proofs were sold to collectors, finding examples with deep cameo contrast in pristine par 70 condition is another challenge altogether. These flawless proofs are scarce and have been known to sell for several $100s each when certified by top grading services. Again, for a coin that most people dismiss as common pocket change, this is a powerful reminder of how quality and preservation drive value. But perhaps the most exciting aspect of the 1989 half dollar is the world of mint errors. Mint errors occur when something goes wrong in the striking process, and while most flawed coins never make it past the mint inspection, a few slip through. Collectors highly prize these errors because they are unique. No two error coins are exactly alike. For 1989, errors such as off-center strikes, double strikes, coins struck on the wrong planchet, or missing clad layers have been discovered. Depending on the severity and the eye appeal of the error, these can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. For instance, a 1989 half dollar struck off-center on a dime planchet would be an incredible rarity and could easily bring in a four-figure price at auction. Error coins remind us that even in a highly controlled minting environment, accidents still happen, and those accidents can make a simple coin incredibly valuable. Another factor that influences the value of 1989 half dollars is their historical context. By the late 1980s, the United States Mint was already seeing declining circulation of half dollars. Most people simply did not use them in everyday transactions, which is why today, finding uncirculated rolls of 1989 halves is uncommon. Collectors who saved them back in the day often stored them in rolls, albums, or protective cases, but improper storage has led to issues like toning, spotting, or environmental damage. That's why the few examples that have been carefully preserved and still grade MS 67 or higher are so heavily sought after. They represent not just a coin, but a rare survivor of its time. Now let's talk about real-world auction records, because nothing captures attention quite like seeing what people are actually willing to pay. Certified high-grade 1989 D-half dollars and MS-67 have fetched prices over $600, and MS-68 examples have pushed even higher when they appear, simply because so few exist. Proof coins graded PR 70 deep cameo have sold in the range of $200 to $400 depending on the market and demand at the time of sale. And when it comes to mint errors, unique examples have gone for even more, sometimes crossing into the $1,000 range. These auction results show us that while the majority of 1989 halves are ordinary, the top-tier survivors and unique errors truly stand out as treasures for collectors. The appeal of the 1989 half dollar goes beyond its monetary value. It's a coin that tells a story. It reflects a period in American coinage when the half dollar was already on the decline in circulation, but still maintained a place in the hearts of collectors. It showcases the artistry of the Kennedy portrait that has now graced our 50-cent piece for decades. And it offers the thrill of the hunt, whether you're searching for that perfect gem, uncirculated example, that flawless proof, or that one-of-a-kind error coin. Every collector dreams of pulling a rare variety out of an old roll or discovering a hidden gem in a collection, and the 1989 half dollar continues to offer that excitement today as we reflect on this coin's journey from everyday change to numismatic treasure. It becomes clear that the most expensive 1989 half dollars are not just about money. They represent the passion of the collecting community, the careful craftsmanship of the U.S. Mint, and the unpredictability of time and preservation. Some of these coins, once worth only 50 cents, now stand as valuable investments and prized collectibles in the eyes of those who understand their significance. So whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just beginning your journey into the fascinating world of coins, the 1989 Kennedy half dollar is a coin worth paying attention to. It teaches us that value is not always obvious, that rarity can exist even in common issues, and that sometimes